The story begins in the year 2035. By now, the world has advanced tremendously. A company called Bionic manufactures special mechanical parts designed for people who've lost their limbs. These parts are connected to their bodies, making them stronger and faster than the average human. People equipped with these enhancements are now known as bionics. However, not everyone supports this technology. Some are even against bionics altogether and want to wipe them out. One day, we see a man walking into a bank. As soon as he tries to enter, red warning lights start flashing. But he explains to the security guards that his arm is made of titanium. Hearing this, the guards let him pass. He heads into a restricted room where, as soon as his face and eye are scanned, all the lockers start unlocking automatically. Inside one locker, he finds 3 more robotic arms, one of which hides a secret weapon. He removes his current arm and attaches the new one. Suddenly, he attacks the people inside the bank. Breaking into another locker, he steals some diamonds. Security rushes in to stop him, but his robotic arm proves way too powerful, and he takes them all down. Though he gets injured in the scuffle, he tries to make a run for it. To avoid being caught, he grabs a woman and holds her hostage, threatening to kill her if anyone tries to stop him. Using her as leverage, he finally escapes from the bank. After escaping the bank, the man met up with his brother, Hitter. He was severely wounded and said he couldn't go any further. Realizing that he didn't have much time left, he handed over the stolen diamonds to Hitter and urged him to leave immediately. The police were getting closer, so Hitter had no choice but to flee, leaving his brother's body behind. Soon after, the authorities arrived at the scene and identified the man as Atleta, a former boxer. When the bionic revolution began, his career took a nosedive. In desperation to get a high-end bionic arm, he staged a fake experiment that led to his real arm being amputated. But he got caught, and the government denied his request for a bionic replacement. To operate a bionic limb, a special chip called AIM had to be implanted in the user's body. Atleta had secretly extracted this chip from a deceased disabled athlete and implanted it in his own head. Meanwhile, Hitter reached a boxing academy and handed over the stolen diamonds to his trusted friends. Soon, a sharp-minded guy named Gustavo, also known as Uncle Hard, arrived at the scene. Hitter asked him why he wanted to join their group. Gustavo replied that he was fed up with the current state of the world and wanted to bring change. He then examined the diamonds and gave Hitter a detailed analysis of their quality. He estimated that they'd get at least $500,000 from the diamonds, but the hackers helping them were demanding a full million. Hitter didn't seem too worried, though. He confidently said he could build bionic arms and legs himself, just like he had done for his brother Atleta. But this time, he would do it differently. They wouldn't need anyone else's help anymore. Gustavo then mentioned he knew someone who could assist them. The two of them went to meet Gustavo's sister, Maria, at an abandoned stadium. Maria was a long jump athlete, dreaming of becoming a world champion. Her mother had also been a champion in the same sport, and Maria had trained since childhood to one day break her mother's record. But then her sister, Gabby, had a robotic right leg fitted, and easily shattered their mother's record. That kind of jump was impossible for any normal human. Inspired by Gabby's power, more and more people started opting for bionic prosthetics, which massively boosted their strength and speed. As a result, athletes like Maria, who didn't use enhancements, started getting ignored. Back in the present, Gustavo shared their plan with Maria, but she said she'd talk to them later. Meanwhile, we see the headquarters of the Biona company, run by Daario and Ricardo. Ricardo is actually the father of both Gabby and Maria. The global demand for bionics was skyrocketing. Originally, the project was designed to help injured war veterans, but now it had expanded into the world of sports as well. Soon, with an upgrade to the AIM chip, the strength and speed of their robotic limbs would increase by another 30%. Daario, Ricardo, and Wanda, who also happens to be Gabby's manager, were discussing the upcoming AIM chip update. They were thrilled, knowing that the upgrade would make Gabby even faster and stronger. With her breaking new records, the demand for their robotic limbs would skyrocket across the globe. Around the same time, Maria came to meet Hitter, who was handing out juice to the athletes. During their conversation, Hitter shared the story of his brother. Before bionics were invented, his brother was a boxing champion. But after prosthetics took over the sports world, everything became incredibly difficult for regular athletes. Maria responded by saying she had to take multiple injections just to be able to compete with bionic athletes. Beating them was nearly impossible. Hitter then asked her, "Why don't you become a bionic yourself?" He believed that if she did, she would become unbeatable. No one would stand a chance. That night, Maria saw a commercial featuring her sister Gabby. Watching it made her feel bitter. Gabby hadn't earned her success through hard work, but through her robotic leg. When Maria got home, she saw her father, Ricardo, and Gabby hosting a party to celebrate Gabby's recent achievements. When Gabby tried to strike up a conversation, a small argument broke out. Gabby accused Maria of always being jealous of her. Maria snapped back, saying, "If Dad weren't around, you'd still be getting your butt kicked like before." Gabby shot back that Maria simply couldn't handle the fact that she was now ahead. Ricardo tried to calm things down, but Maria's frustration boiled over. She finally exploded in front of everyone, saying, "The world has changed. Bionic athletes are now jumping twice as far as us. So why would anyone watch real athletes anymore? Athletes used to be made through hard work, now they're made with fake legs." After saying those harsh words, Maria stormed out of the party, leaving everyone stunned and speechless. That night, she played an old Italian song, one her mother used to sing for her, and took off on her bike at full speed, lost in her emotions. Suddenly, she met with a terrible accident and was rushed to the hospital. Everything went dark before her eyes. When she regained consciousness, she saw Hitter standing nearby, along with her family gathered around her. But the moment she learned that her right leg had been amputated, Maria broke down in tears. The doctors gave her a sedative injection to calm her down. Meanwhile, the police had started investigating Hitter and his group, suspecting them of intentionally harming athletes to force them into becoming bionics. Soon after, Maria received a message from Hitter asking, "Did you get the gift I sent?" As she struggled to stand, Gabby stepped in to support her, encouraging her to try walking without crutches. Maria fell at first but then gathered her strength and stood up again. Gabby then handed her Hitter's gift, a doll with a bionic prosthetic on one leg. It was a symbolic message. Hitter wanted to help Maria get a bionic leg. Seeing the doll brought a smile to Maria's face. Before long, the AIM chip was successfully implanted into Maria's head, with Dr. Daario himself performing the procedure. Everything went smoothly. Maria was soon fitted with a brand new robotic leg. She was overwhelmed with joy. She could finally do everything she once could. And maybe, just maybe, she could do it even better. Soon after, Maria took off running at full speed and made an impressive long jump, but lost her balance and fell hard to the ground. Dr. Daario quickly stepped in and explained that her energy levels were still too low, and if they ever dropped to zero, she could slip into a coma. To keep herself fully charged, she would need at least 12 hours of sleep every day. Not long after, Hitter arrived at the hospital, and over time, he and Maria began to grow closer, bonding over their shared struggles and dreams. Then one day, Hitter looked her in the eyes and said, "It's time for revenge." He wanted justice for his brother, and he told Maria it was also her turn to stand up, for her mother and for all the hardworking athletes whose blood, sweat, and dreams had been dismissed by the rise of bionic competitors. Maria agreed, but with one condition: her brother Gustavo must not be dragged into any of it. In the next scene, we see a bank transport truck carrying a large sum of money. Maria, working with Hitter's team, orchestrates an accident that disables the truck and injures the guards inside. She quickly throws smoke bombs, forcing the guards to come out of the vehicle. But just then, Hitter suddenly shoots and kills one of the guards, leaving Maria completely shocked. With the police closing in, the team grabs the cash and flees the scene. Back at the base, Maria furiously confronts Hitter, yelling that this wasn't the kind of revenge she had agreed to. Hitter calmly explains that the guard had to be eliminated. He had seen Maria's face. To win, he said, "You have to lose something, and who understands that better than you?" That's when Maria noticed her brother, Gustavo, standing nearby. She was furious. "You promised to keep him out of this," she shouted. But Hitter smiled and revealed the truth. This whole plan, it was his idea. He's the mastermind. By now, they had collected enough money to pay the hackers, who would give them early intel on the next AIM chip delivery. Their plan was to target 10 athletes who were about to undergo bionic upgrades. But Maria began to feel uneasy. This wasn't what she had signed up for. She wanted to take Gustavo away from it all. However, Gustavo stood firm. "This is just the beginning," he said. "I want to stay and fight this system." Heartbroken by his choice, Maria walked away. Meanwhile, police arrived at the scene of the truck heist. While questioning the surviving guard, they learned that one of the attackers had a bionic leg. This raised suspicions that Maria might be involved. However, the lead female officer was still puzzled. Why would the attackers take the risk of exposing themselves on camera? After that, the police re-examined the footage from Maria's accident. Meanwhile, Maria herself was lost in thought, wondering what her life had turned into. The next morning, her sister Gabby came to check on her and asked if everything was okay, eyeing her new bionic leg. Just then, their father Ricardo walked in and proudly announced that this time, 2 bionic athletes from their family would be competing. He also revealed that Biona was ready to sponsor Maria. Hearing this, Maria was thrilled, but Gabby didn't seem nearly as excited. Elsewhere, at the stadium, a police officer approached Gustavo. Upon noticing a tattoo on Gustavo's arm, one that matched Hitter's, he grew suspicious. Meanwhile, tension between Maria and Gabby escalated during training. When the officer tried to intervene, Maria lashed out with her bionic leg, knocking him to the ground. Furious, she demanded to know whether they had caught the person responsible for her accident. The officer admitted they hadn't, which only made Maria angrier. She told him to do his job properly and stormed off. Soon after, the police contacted Ricardo's family. The officer explained that the vehicle involved in Maria's accident had disappeared, but the license plate was registered to a man who was still alive and had actually reported the incident before the crash even occurred. However, as soon as the officer mentioned Hitter's name, Gustavo snapped. He warned the officer not to drag Hitter into this without proof, making it clear that he wouldn't tolerate any baseless accusations. The next day, Gustavo informed Hitter that the police were now keeping a close eye on Maria. Unbeknownst to them, Gabby had been secretly listening in on their conversation. Curious and suspicious, she began digging deeper. While reviewing the recording of the anonymous call made to the police, she heard something that stopped her cold. The same special Italian song their mother used to sing, playing faintly in the background. The officer had previously mentioned that the call was made before the accident happened. That meant Maria must have already been in contact with the person who caused the crash. Gabby put the pieces together. Maria had staged her own accident just to become a bionic athlete. On competition day, Gabby made a stunning jump of 16.7 meters, setting a new record. But then Maria jumped, and broke that record with an even longer leap. Gabby was stunned. In the second round, the 2 sisters kept shattering each other's records, but Maria remained in the lead. Meanwhile, Gustavo was reviewing information the hackers had sent him. Maria noticed that Gabby was under serious mental stress and tried to stop her from jumping again. Gabby didn't listen, and ended up crashing face first, getting severely injured. Maria won the competition, but it was possible Gabby might never compete again. Afterward, Maria furiously confronted their father, Ricardo, yelling that it was his obsession with competition that drove a wedge between them as sisters. All our lives, you made us compete against each other. Look where it's brought us. Ricardo calmly replied that everything he did was for their future. When Gabby finally regained consciousness, Maria was right by her side. Gabby told her she knew the truth, that Maria had faked her accident just to become bionic. On the other side, Hitter had finally discovered the exact location and time of the next AIM chip delivery. He told Maria that their moment had come, that it was time to change the world. But Maria refused to go along with him anymore. Enraged, Hitter reminded her, "You're buried under all the favors I've done for you. Don't forget that." He was the one who had gotten Maria her bionic leg and the sponsorship deals, everything that helped her break the world record. Hearing this, Maria was furious and stormed out. What she didn't know was that Hitter's uncle and Gustavo had secretly spiked her juice, making her unable to walk properly. While Maria struggled, Hitter's uncle kidnapped Gabby and brutally assaulted Ricardo. Maria witnessed it all but was helpless to stop it. Gustavo, shaken by what was happening, yelled at Hitter, demanding to know what he was doing. But Hitter calmly told him to stay quiet and trust his plan. He then threatened Maria. If she wanted her family to stay safe, she'd have to follow his orders no matter what. Then Hitter revealed his final plan. Maria was to make a precise jump from one building to another and infiltrate the bionic headquarters. Inside, she needed to steal a briefcase that contained the advanced AIM chips. Just as planned, Maria leapt into the building with incredible precision, took down the security guards with ease, and secured the briefcase. But soon, the police were alerted. Daario also found out the implants had been stolen and, reviewing CCTV footage, saw Maria committing the theft. As she tried to escape, Maria saw a familiar motorcycle. Believing it was Hitter, she rammed it with full force using her vehicle. But to her horror, it wasn't Hitter, it was her own brother, Gustavo, now badly injured. Soon, Hitter arrived at the scene with his gang. Maria tried to fight back, but they struck first, knocking her unconscious. When she woke up, she found herself tied up, alongside her family. Right in front of them, Hitter handed the briefcase over to his boss. Seeing this shattered Maria, She had believed in Hitter, believed that he truly wanted to change the corrupt system, but now she realized he had become part of something even worse. But in the end, it was all just about money for Hitter. He and his boss were thrilled. They had expected the briefcase to contain only 10 chips, but it held far more. With that, they believed they could build an entire army of bionic soldiers. As they were celebrating, Maria managed to break free from her restraints. With a powerful kick, she flipped the table, sending the aimed chips flying everywhere. Chaos erupted. A fierce fight broke out between Maria and Hitter's gang. Fueled by her bionic strength, Maria overwhelmed them one by one. Meanwhile, Gabby had also freed herself and joined the battle. After taking down the rest of the gang, Maria was just about to finish off Hitter. But he struck back with a dirty move, stabbing her with a hidden knife. He then lunged at Gabby, trying to kill her too. That pushed Maria over the edge. Summoning all her strength, she got back up and finally ended Hitter for good. Just then, the police arrived. Maria, wounded and breathless, realized she couldn't afford to be caught. As she tried to escape, her robotic leg got tangled in a mess of wires. An officer pointed his weapon and ordered her to surrender. But Maria made a bold choice. She detached her bionic leg and leapt down from the ledge. She crashed hard, severely injured. At the same time, Gabby, limping on one leg, climbed into a nearby car. She raced to her sister's side, pulled her in, and sped away, saving Maria from the police's grip. For the first time, both sisters truly felt what it meant to love and protect one another. Meanwhile, Daario found Gustavo in critical condition, but miraculously, he was still alive. Around 6 months later, the police were still actively searching for the two sisters, but Maria and Gabby had vanished from public view. In reality, the sisters were now living in an undisclosed location, running a special school for disabled children. One day, Daario visited them, praised their work, and asked where they got the money to support such a noble cause. The scene then cuts to the two sisters meeting Hitter's former boss. They calmly explained to him that he didn't need an entire army of bionics. For security, just 3 would be enough. The boss raised an eyebrow and asked, 3? Who? Just then, a nearly fully bionic Gustavo stepped out of a car. To test his abilities, the boss ordered his goons to attack him. Gustavo made quick work of the first thug, beating him down effortlessly. Then, with deadly precision, he redirected a bullet fired by the second thug using an iron rod, so perfectly that it ripped straight through the boss's hat. Impressed by their skills and confidence, the boss agreed to the deal. The money they earned from that arrangement was now being used by the 3 siblings to fund good causes and help those in need. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next one.